Okay, so good morning everybody. It's my second try on the Barcelona Palma flight with a flight simulator and streaming in YouTube. I had to change the program, so I hope everything is fine now. So basically here we are. We are in Barcelona. I have the charts here with me. Let me check them. Yeah, they are here. So this is Barcelona and we are around stand over here, more or less. Good. So we start with the fresh start. Okay. So I have the checklist with me. What I'm gonna do is so the checklists are here. Okay. We're gonna start with this one, which is a preliminary cockpit preparation. Basically, it tells you engine masters off, engine mode selector normal. So engine masters off, engine mode selector normal, weather radar off. It's so sunny here today. Weather radar is off. Landing gear lever down. So it's down. Batteries check auto and external power on. Batteries, now they are on auto and external power on. Here we are. APU fire check test doesn't work on the Microsoft Flight Simulator. APU not needed now. Air conditioning as required. There's nothing there. And we're gonna touch many things here, so anyway. Cockpit lights as we want, it's daylight, so it's fine. ECAM recall push button, it doesn't work. ECAM oxygen press, hydraulic quantity, engine oil quantity check, doesn't work either. Flaps check position, so the flaps are position 0 and position here 0 as well. Speed brake levers check retract, so this is arm and this is retract. Parking brake on, there we are, parking brake on. Accumulator brake pressure check, accumulator and brake pressure checked. Basically all three, so the accumulator pressure has to be on the green, and this one are giving different indications, but this means that it's braking, so it's fair enough. OEBs in the QRH. OEBs stands for Operator Engineering Bulletin, which we don't have any in my company. Security search, okay, checked. Emergency equipment is checked. Rain repellent is checked. The rain repellent is something like, I don't know if, yeah, it's here, and this should be on the green side. Basically, the rain repellent is when you use the rain repellent, it throws some liquid in the windshield to just make the rain just slide over the window and not get there. So basically, you have more visibility. Circuit breaker panels checked. So circuit breakers here. Here we should check these ones as well, these ones, and behind the door as well. And gear pins, fans, and callbacks checked. Aircraft livery checked. So that's a preliminary cockpit preparation completed. Good. Now the fun starts. So the flows, we start with this one. Basically, we should put increase supply. It doesn't work. Ground control doesn't work. All this in NAP. It's already in NAP. I'll get the strobe on auto. NAP logo. It should have two positions anyway. Seatbelts on. This on auto. No white lights here. We should do a check on the electrical page, but it doesn't work, so I'm not gonna bother with it. All the white lights on. We should do the engine 1 fire test and the engine 2 fire test. This should be on normal. Anyway, we start coming on this side. There's nothing white there, and it's all as planned. Then the second flow is like this. Basically, make sure this is correct. Basically, we cannot set anything here, so there's no much on it. And basically check the clock and everything, and the nose wheel steering anti-skid is off. Is on, sorry. This shouldn't be off. Okay, good. Third one should be coming here. Basically, we have on VHF1 a few, well, the knobs that you need to listen to the radio out. This makes sure that it's as we want. This should be actually in weather plus turbulence. And anyway, Here it's all fine, speed brakes in, the switching panels are all there, this shouldn't be there. Anyway, everything off, and this is stowed, and then we come back here. So I'm using 1, the altitude reporting should be on, and yeah, the same for the second radius. You just put them, but it doesn't work here anyway, so good. Now that we have done the third part, we're gonna do the fourth one, which is the MCDU. MCDU doesn't work as intended, so I'm not gonna bother too much on it. Basically data, aircraft status, okay, the database is correct. The init, it's already populated, but what I'm gonna do is put an alternate, so Ibiza, and I'm gonna do flight level is gonna be 1990, and let's say cost index 8, for example. Win, I don't know, drop, I don't know. This seems quite, there's a lot of blocks, so I'm gonna just a lot of block fuel, so I don't need that much, so I'm gonna put something like this. This should be 5.1 now, so it should be fine. I'm gonna set this on 5.1. Perfect. Flight plan, it's already everything inserted, so this should be our departure, which is the LEPA for Quebec if it's 25, right? Actually, I'm gonna check the weather here. Barcelona 04, so today 330 at 6 knots, Cabo Caye 23 degrees, QNH 1024. So it's gonna be 25 right, and QNH we set 1024, 1024. So QNH 1024. I'm gonna put this afterwards. Good. So the route should be all inserted. I'm gonna put this on plan to just check it, and we should have a good view of the navigation display while I'm doing the MCDU. Yeah. So yeah, the flight plan seems all correct, and then we have an ALS for runway 24 left in Palma, coming on the Tulsa to Papa arrival. Here it should say it's also to Papa. So basically, if you want to check which arrival are you on, you can just get this. So again, you press this one, you got onto arrival, and it tells you ALS 24 left via Poyensa, Tulsa to Papa departure. It's also to Papa arrival, which is the good one that we need. For the departure itself, it should say the same. Here it should say the departure. So if you don't know which one is it, sorry, I'll just go this. And it says LEPA for Quebec departure here. Good. So flight plan is inserted. Secondary cannot do that. Radio nav on the secondary we would set the engine out. Radio nav is there. Performance, it's already populated with the speeds that we would have calculated. I'm guessing flap 1, and I'll put something like 55 degrees of temperature, of flex temperature. On my company we do the thrust reduction acceleration at 1000 feet, and here because we are at sea level it's gonna be 1000 and 1000. And engine auto acceleration as well at 1000 feet. Okay, I cannot change that. Okay, anyway. Good. Radio nav is there, performance is set, and progress, cheapest primary accuracy hike, and I cannot put anything here, so I would always put here the runway to come back, so it doesn't let me. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, so this is done. That's the fourth part. Fifth part is coming over here. We see that there's nothing here. Then all the flight directors on, constraints on, manage. The initial stop altitude with 6000. I have a problem with my mouse, so if you see something strange, it's because I'm doing it with the mouse. Okay, so 6000. So how I know the 6000 stuff? So here, as I told you, I have the charts, and what we said was the departure was gonna be the, sorry, here we will find it better. Should be, this is 07 left. Okay, so it should be 25 LEPA for Quebec. Okay, so this one we're gonna come from here, do this thing, and then up here LEPA for Quebec. The departure altitudes here in Barcelona for a 25, it's always 6000 feet, so that's why I said 6000. Okay, so everything is done, and then we'll come here, you cannot check the masks, but here is the oxygen masks, oxygen emergency mask, so we would do the check for the masks, and that's it mainly. So everything done, we would do the briefing, and once the briefing is done, we can do the before start checklist down to line. So if you go here, before start checklist, says copy preparation is basically complete. We make sure, well, not, because we still have to start the APU. So we will check everything, and except the APU is coming in, and we have the external yet. So once I connect the APU and I disconnect the external power, the copy preparation will be finished. Signs on an auto, ADRS NAP. So we would come here and go data, position monitor, and check that every one of each one is on NAP. Fuel quantity, so we have it 5 tons, 5 tons on 100 kilos and balance. FMGS set, that means that I have the performance and he's got the flight plan, but anyway, it doesn't work, so only one works. Basically you can have a page here and another page there, but yeah, so the pilot flying is going to be always on performance, at least on the departure. So FMGS sets and altimeters, it's going to be QNH 1024, and reading, this is completely wrong, should say like around 20 feet or something like that. Anyway, so I guess this is not correct. Let me check one thing then, because this might be it. Live weather. Okay, now seems like it's better. No, it's more or less there. Should say it like 20 or something like that. Good, so with that is before start checklist down to line. Now I would get to the ground to ask them if they are ready for push. We will contact the frequency, and basically what I'm gonna do is say here that we are gonna push from Barcelona. Good. Once we have talked with the ground staff, and they tell us that it's fine, and we contact the ATC controllers, and they tell us that it's fine, that we're clear to push. What we're gonna do is do the below the line, which basically is we check that the doors are closed. Okay, this is done. This is done. The beacon is on, and basically that's it. So the checklist itself says windows and doors, so close and arm. We will check here that the slides are armed. Beacon is on, I have just done it. Mobile phone off and parking brake on. There we are, so now it's before start checklist completed. Good, so as I told you, a DC controller would have told us where to push. So what I'm gonna do is just push it, normal push, and during the push we will start the engines, okay? So parking brake is off, and I select the pushback, it's coming. Okay, it's working. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stop the pushback over here. I still didn't find how to change the direction of the pushback anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna do it like here until then, and then I'll turn. Actually no, yeah, I should take this one to get out. So yeah, when I'm here, I'm just gonna try to do a 90 degrees turn, the closest I can, and that's it. And if I see it, and if I don't see it properly, I'll just go on the next one. But our runway should be over there. Okay, so here it seems fine. So start the pushback. I'll get back inside. Parking brake is on. I'll get this to ignition. The APU lit is on, and there's no crosses there. Good. So starting engine number 1. Here we should see different things like, yeah, intus working at around 22%. It would open the pressure valve. We'll see. Well, it's not exactly, but that's the shot. So the numbers we are looking for when it finishes starting, it's more or less 20% N1, more or less 400 EGT, and 60% N2, something like that. So let's say 20, 40, 60 to remember, and that's it. Okay, so now it's stable. You see 24, 460 something, so 20, 40, 60, that's what we are looking for. Good, now engine 2, starting. I'm gonna check the push. Yeah, the push has already left, perfect. Takes a while to start, but it's a normal stuff. It takes approximately 45 seconds, 1 minute. And again, we will be looking for 20, 40, and 60. Good, you see that it's starting to stabilize now. So 24, 420, and 63, that's fine. And now we do the reverse procedure. So this back to normal, and APU lit off, and we don't need the APU anymore. Perfect. We will check with the ground staff to see that they have the pin. The pin is something that they put on the front wheel, basically to make the push be able to turn the plane. But we need it off so we need it take out to be able to turn it ourselves. So you should see the dispatcher with the pin saying you goodbye. Good. Once we finish the engine start, there's a flow, which is speed brake lever's arm, reset, so rudder trim 0, flaps on the takeoff position, which was 1 for us, and then you would check the pitch trim, and you would do the status. So good. Pilot flying would ask for after start checklist. Here we go. After start checklist. Anti-ice as required. It's not today. It's required. Ecom status checked. That's why we pressed it, but it's not working here. Pitch trim, it's something set. We would have checked it with here. Here it will tell you like the pitch trim, but it's not there anymore. And rudder trim, we check it on 0. So after start checklist completed. Good. We will ask for taxi, and taxi is approved. So what I'm gonna do is taxi light. I'm gonna set in taxiing to holding point 25 left, Barcelona, so everybody knows it. And that's it basically. Let's see if, yeah, I think I can manage to do it. Good, so the first thing is parking brake off, and let's try to do it. Just a bit of thrust should be fine. we usually put a little bit of thrust, not more than 40% on the ground, because then it would affect the people or traffics or cars or whatever you have behind you. So it's always less than 40%, but you just put a little bit in, and after that it should, once you have it on idle, it should just move smoothly. Good, so it seems that we can go through this one. Perfect. And there's a few things to do while we're taxiing, so I'll take things slowly and I'll go through them. Good, so the first things to do is the flight controls. So I'll go full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, and neutral, and I would check the radars as well. But on the real plane, you just press a button here, this button, and so then you can press the pedals and it won't move the aircraft. So it's not correctly done. The pilot monitoring would do the same thing, and once he completed everything, he will do the flow, which I'll wait a little bit to do it, because now I have a tricky taxiing here. Okay, I'll just follow the yellow lines, but it should be now to the left. And you see there's another runway here. Basically, it's runway 0220 in Barcelona, which when you have the parallel runways in use, it's not used, this one. So we can cross it without anything. Basically, most of times the ATC controllers, they won't even tell you if that you are able to cross it or not, because it's gonna be it's not gonna be in use. So anyway, good. Now that we are in a straight line, we're gonna do the flow from the PM. So basically, it says it's radar on. We checked that this should have been on in auto before, and that the squawk is fine. We get the auto brake max, and we get the takeoff config. Once the takeoff config is done, it would tell you here that, well, there's a list here, which is called takeoff memo, which tells you all the things that you need to take off. Basically, it tells you in blue what you should set to take off, and it's not here. So anyway, the other thing we would do now when taxiing is the briefing confirmation. So that depends for every company. On my company, we do PETS, which is performance. Okay, we have calculated for 25 left. Basically, make sure that we are going where at the point that we have calculated the takeoff from. Engine out, basically saying again what's going to be our procedure in case of engine out. What's the departure clearance? Check it with the clearance itself, and what's the stop altitude. So in this case, it's 6,000. With that done, I can ask for the before takeoff checklist. So if we go here, before takeoff checklist, flight controls, they were checked, briefing is confirmed, flap setting. So we check here, here, and here, sorry. And we see all of them are on one. FMA and takeoff data, read. So basically it should have here a few more things that it doesn't have here. 128 SRS nav, the SRS shouldn't be there. And 6,000 there with a flex temperature, it should be saying it here, okay, but so it's not working properly. Transponder is set, we still don't have the code, so that's 2,000 for the second. ICA memo, takeoff no blue, that the ICA memo is what I'll tell you about here. And EFB, the EFB, we don't have it here, so as required, it's not there. Good, with that, it's before takeoff checklist, down to the line. Okay, so if we have everything done and the cabin crews have done their job and the cabin is secure, they would have told us, so we would be fully ready for departure. So we would say to the ATC, my call sign is Alpine 1001, so I would say Alpine 1001, reaching holding point 25 left, fully ready for departure. And if there's no traffic, or basically they have separated us from the previous traffic, they will tell us, or hold short, or clear for takeoff 25 left, or basically line up on wait 25 left. I'm just gonna wait a second here, and I'm gonna show you what's next, okay? So I'll set the parking brake on again. Basically, if we have a look at the checklist, we've done down to the line, so we have to do it below the line now, which is all of this part. So cabin secure for takeoff. Okay, that should be it. Engine mode selector as required. So engine mode selector is on normal. We don't need anything else now. TCAS, TARA. So that's set, and we would set the packs as well enough, but that doesn't work here. Okay, and we do the lights as well. Sorry. Good. So the line says cabin, we've seen, engine mode selector seen, TCAS, packs, and anti-ice. So packs, they are on here because we cannot work it out, and anti-ice is off, we don't need it now. So with that is the before takeoff checklist completed. So now we can line up to 5 left, ask for clearance, and they will gonna say that we're clear for takeoff. Also we look at final, all fine. And here we are. So I'm gonna do a rolling takeoff. Basically, I want to stop. Good. So I'll put all the thrust until the flex D10. Manual flex SRS. I read the FMA, and I have the thrust. I have the side stick a little bit low until 100 fits. The thrust would be checked. It's there, and at around B1. And rotate, which is already there. I'll put it like around 15 degrees. Okay, this should be different, but anyway, at 1000 feet I'll go with thrust climb, 15 degrees, I'll go thrust climb, and positive climb gear up. The modes are completely different, okay, so that's what I was messing a little bit. Thrust climb, nap, and autopilot 1, so it's gonna follow now our departure, and it's gonna climb to 6000 feet. But basically, I'm gonna select flaps 1 now, and he's gonna accelerate it to 50. So the correct, I mean, I was messing with the thrust, that's why I didn't set the landing gear up when it's needed, but basically, once you rotate and you are seeing that the radial altimeter is going up and the vertical speed as well as the altitude, you just the other guy tells positive climb and you just ask for gear up. That's when you would do it. But here the departure is always a little the takeoff is a little bit messy because it gets the pitch very high, and if you're not aware of it, all of a sudden it will just bleed all your speed and you will stall. Well, try to stall because it has protection, so you wouldn't do it. I'll start. Okay, so we are arriving at 6000. What I'm gonna do is put 19,000, which was my cruise level, and there we go. Thrust climb, open climb, 19,000 blue. Good, because it's 19,000 and that's flight level. What we're gonna do is select standard here, not this. Standard. So standard set. Cross check. Passing flight level 5-4. Let's see if it wants to climb. This is so stupid. I don't know what it's doing, but it's not climbing. Okay, now open climb after like 20 seconds. Open climb. I'm passing flight level 5380 now. And he would check the same. Good. I will just put the seatbelts off to make the people be able to go anywhere they want. And that's it. Here we are, taking off from Barcelona, which is over there. and into Palma, which should be around there. Good, passing 10,000 feet, so what I'm gonna do is put the lights off. Sorry, completely off. Good. And I'll go to airports, and we should clean the radio nav page and copy the active if you want it. That's a 10,000 checks. Thrust climb, open climb, flight 190. The difference, so the changes on the modes is completely wrong. So I don't know how much input they did have from a320 pilots, because this is a very evident thing from the beginning. So anyway, good. So here we are. We're proceeding climbing 1990 on course to LEPA. If you check the charts again, we are on this part, okay? So LEPA, we should be above flight level 100, and after that we're gonna have the arrival onto Palma, which the arrival onto Palma, it's gonna be from Tolso, but not 06, it should be 24. So Spain, Palma, Mallorca, stars runway not 06, stars runway 24 left. So basically we're gonna go from Tolso, we should be above flight level 100, Tolso to Papa, to Lisas, and then Poyensa, which is our initial approach fix. That's where the approach starts. So if we don't have any clearance before the EAF, the initial approach fix, we should hold over here until they tell us to call. We cannot proceed the initial approach fix until we are clear. But anyway, the important bit here is that we have to be at Tolso above 100, but then after Tolso we can descend 70, 70, 70, you see it here, and over Papa Oscar Sierra we can be at 5,000. Spiral Star, okay, we're getting to flight level 1990. This is one thing that I don't like either, so well, we'll talk about this first. So you see, this is the weather radar, okay, it's not the terrain. So it's the weather radar, so it's giving us some echoes from clouds. But if you look outside, I mean, this wouldn't get any echo at all. And especially not that low. It all depends on when do you have the tilt, but it's not, it's in up here. So, but basically now on cruise, you would have it a little bit down, but you wouldn't see these many things. Not especially yellow. Maybe you would have some green, but not yellow at all. And yeah, the other stupid thing he did is he climbed at 3020 knots, and then on cruise it went back to 285. That's because we have the cost index at 8, but it would never go faster climbing than on the cruise. Anyway, I'll cruise, good. So I would set the TICAS like differently, checking the modes. So basically I would put it in below, and I would check all the pages here to make sure that everything is correct. So they're not working, the fuel is fine, we don't have any leaks, and that's it mainly. Good. So what we have to do next is start preparing for the approach. We said it started in Tolso, so we made sure before that it was all there, but what we have to do is prepare the initial approach, so the final approach chart, which is, sorry for this, it should be this one. So ILS Zulu 24 left, so Poyensa was our initial approach fix, so we're gonna go radial 184 we can descend to 4,500 until Babum, which it's 4,500 or above, and after that we can descend to 2,500. So as we said, we can be here at 5,000. After Tolso we can descend to 70, and then here we can be at 5,000. So what I'm gonna put is just when we get Tolso, I'm gonna start descending to 70, and after that maybe over Poyensa I will try to manage Poyensa at 5,000, and then 4,500, and 2,500. If you check here, we intercept the glide slope at 2,500 feet. So this is the lateral view. What we're gonna do is stay at 2,500, and at around 7.5 miles from the ILS, we're gonna start descending with a 3-degree glide slope all the way to the ground. This is our miss approach, and this is on the horizontal plan. And our minimums here is this one, 240. So that's what I'm gonna set. That's what I need for the MCDU. So performance, next phase, final, minimum decision altitude is 240. You always put it on the MDA, even if it's a precision approach. The decision height is just based on the radar altimeter. So we only use this if you are on the low visibility procedures, making a category 2 or category 3 approach. Good. For the QNH, temperatures, and so on, I'm gonna check with here. I don't know if there's control. No, there's no one controlling there. So I'm gonna check for the weather in LEPA. So variable 1 knot, so no wind, plus 10,000 meters of visibility, FIO 3000, 25 degrees, and QNH 1025. So 25 degrees, QNH 1025, and wind, it was almost calm, so I'll set it. What I would do as well was put this on 125 and set that back on standard. I'll cruise. Good, so we have all the approach prepared. We're going, and we have to decide if how we will stop, so to brake low. Good, we're over Tulsa, so basically I'm going to prepare the 7000 here. And passing Tulsa. Okay, they should be open this end anyway. Okay, what I'm gonna do is go with some vertical speed. Vertical speed minus 6000 and flight level 70 blue. Good, here we should start looking for a descent. So basically we said that Poyensa we would like to be at 5000 feet. So that means 30,000 feet that we have to descend. So from Tulsa to Poyensa it's more or less 40 miles, and we're going at 38, so 380. If we were at 360, it will be 6 miles per minute. So that means that we would need, for 40 miles, we would need around 7 minutes or 8 minutes. Okay, so 8 minutes, and we need 13,000 to lose 13,000 feet. That means 1,600 or even a little bit more. It should be fine. I'm gonna tell them that we are starting descent. Good, you see now there's no weather at all. I don't know. But anyway, hit Mallorca Island. The effect on the sea is very nice actually. You can always see these rough patches of water, or with different sunshine and things like that. That's very cool. Good, there we are. So we're descending flight level 70, so still 9,000 feet to go. Slow down this a little bit. On the real plane, you would have to make things easier. You would have a white arrow telling you at what point will you get this altitude with this vertical speed. So it's quite easier. Good, Lisa's. Okay, turning. Going back to 1600, or even a little bit more to make sure that we're gonna be around 5,000 feet over Poyensa. And actually, if we check the charts, which was this one. Yeah, it's still 7-0 until we are on the initial approach fix, on the holding pattern. So it doesn't tell you when you can start deciding to 5,000. Good, so what I'm gonna do is just speed up a little bit the descent, vertical speed 2,000 feet per minute. So we make sure we're at 7,000 and then we start descending and reducing a little bit the speed. Good. Passing 10,000 feet, what we need to do is slow down the speed to 250. I guess it's gonna be automatically, but if not, I'll do it. And we're gonna put the landing system and the lights. Sorry, not the lights, the seatbelts. Okay, so 20 miles and we're gonna be with 2,000 feet, we are like 4,000, so that's 2 minutes, and in 2 minutes we're gonna have like, yeah, 12 miles. Good, so we're gonna be over there more or less. Good. I'm starting to reduce to speed to 50 knots. Like that, 249, 10,000 feet, landing system there, constraints, and I'll put the seatbelts on, which are already there. Good, and we're gonna do the approach checklist. So, approach checklist, seatbelts are on, briefing is confirmed, minimums. It's not there because here you have to activate the approach phase, but minimums 240 are set. Engine mode selector normal, and EFB as required. So on the real plane, as soon as you are within 250 miles from your arrival airport, here it will tell you the minimums. But yeah, nothing here. It won't tell you the minimum here until you activate the approach phase or it activates automatically. Good. So where are you? We are like 18 miles from Poyensa, so this looks pretty good, descent wise. And yeah, if you set on vertical speed, it will prioritize the vertical speed and not the speed itself. So now it cannot reduce because we're already on idle and it's descending at 2,000 feet. So because it's prioritizing the 2,000 feet, the speed it's 260 knots. So if I slow down, it will be able to pitch up and reduce the speed a little bit. Okay. Good. Imagine now we are clear to 5,000 feet. What I'm gonna do is set 5,000 here. And because it's 5,000 and it's feet, we will just put the QNH again. Sorry, not QFE. QNH 1025. Speed open descent 5,000 blue and set QNH 1025 cross check passing 7,300. Now, and he would check the same. Good. So as we said, after ILS 2 Zulu 2 for left, after Poyensa 4,500 feet. So Poyensa is this point here, and I'm gonna tell them that we are gonna start the approach. Good, 1,000 to go. So we don't need this much descent. Vertical speed 600. We would have gotten a briefing obviously before the approach checklist. And now we're just following the route that we have inserted here. and basically make sure that all the modes are correct and configuring the aircraft. So to configure the aircraft, what we need to achieve is to be with fully configured. That means full flap with the speed and gear down at 1000 feet, but the speed can be within 20 or 30 knots depending on your company. Mine is 30, so we will do that. And at 500 feet you should be completely stable with laterally and vertically as well, and with the correct speed, which is B approach. The B approach, we have it here. It's 145, but it should be there. It should go there automatically. I'll start. Okay, still 2 miles to go to Pollença. Good, but I'll prepare the 400, 500, 4,500. And because I have this thing with my mouse, I'll just go with 4,600. Open descent, 4,600 feet blue. And we're gonna maintain this until baboom, 4,500, and then we will be able to descend to 2,500. So I'll start. We are getting there. And the correct process to configure the aircraft, it's gonna be flaps 1, flaps 2, gear down, flaps 3, and flaps full. Look, it has automatically activated the approach phase. Now we are in the approach phase, and you can see it because now we have the minimum decision altitude, the ILS it says here, and we have this ILS prompt here, which is because of this. But yeah, it should be here all the time, not just when the approach phase is activated. Anyway, if it wouldn't activate the approach phase, you will have to do it manually. So you would be on any other page here, on the performance page, and here it would tell you activate approach phase. You would press 2 times, and then it's gonna be on this phase. Good, baboom. So what I'm gonna do before baboom is slow down a little bit. So basically we need more or less 10 miles for every knot. Sorry, 1 mile for every 10 miles. Say again that. 1 mile for every 10 knots that we have to descend. So I'm gonna try to be at 200. So that's 5 miles. So that's 50 knots. I'll need 5 miles to slow down. So I will try to be at 200 over baboom. I don't know if it's gonna work on this simulator, but it should be something around like that. So okay, getting 5 miles. Awareness speed selected, perfect, and that means that we will have to start configuring. Okay. So baboom. I'll go to 200. Yeah, 199 is fine. Here it's in blue, perfect, and we will be able to start decelerating, to start putting the flap just when we are below these 2 dots. This means the maximum speed when I have the flaps. So it's called BFE next. So basically, when I put flap 1, the barber pull, the overspeed, it's gonna be here. Okay, so that's why you want to be below it once we put the flap. So there we are. So speed check, flaps 1, we check it here, it's correct, and you're gonna see the barber pull now all the way to 215, which was the BFE. Good, imagine we have been clear for the ILS, we're still at 19 miles, so I'll just let it fly on NAP, but once we are closer, I'll just put the approach, I will activate the approach phase, and I should be able to put autopilot too. It's not on this, and this simulator doesn't work, but as soon as we put the approach, we select both autopilots to make sure that the aircraft is flying on all its capability. The other thing after baboom was that we can descend to 2,500 feet. So what I'm gonna do is 2,600, which seems fine, but I'm gonna go down with a little bit of vertical speed. Okay, vertical speed 700. So the standard glide slope on these speeds, around 180, it should be around 700 or 800 feet per minute. So that means that if I'm at 700, I will slowly capture it. Good, we're at 16 miles, so it feels like a good time. Approach is on, and you see glide lock and lock. Now he's gonna get to the lock, and you're gonna see one thing now, that it's gonna revert to. Oh, maybe they changed it. Actually, I hope they changed it. It's nice that they changed it. Yeah, they did. So a lot of times when you press the approach previously on the flight simulator, you would have heading here. So it would be glide slope and heading, not lock, which was completely wrong. Now it's lock, that's fine. And you see we're still descending to 2,600 feet, but we are still below the glide slope. So at some point we're going to intercept the glide slope, and that's when we're going to follow the ILS. We're still 14 miles with flaps 1. The second point of flap, so flaps 2, should be set before 2,000 feet, so above 2,000 feet. The other thing you will see is that the radar altimeter is going to be alive in a few minutes, but what I told you about the 1,000, it should be always above the airport, not the ground. So the ground would be, maybe it can have like a small hill like here. So the radar altimeter would just call you 1,000 before you're actually 1,000 feet over the airport. So it's always 1,000 feet above the airport. Good, so we're 600 feet to go, slowly getting there. I'm gonna reduce the vertical speed a little bit more, 500, because I don't want to be on final maintaining 2,500 feet for a seconds. 2,500. Good, you see the radar altimeter now it's alive. We are 180 knots, which it's perfect. We will maintain that until 160 and at around, so the speeds are 180 until 6, 170 until 5, and 160 until 4. Those are the maximums. So if you see that you are above 180 at 6 miles, you should try to reduce the speed as fast as you can, maybe putting the gear down or the speed brakes or whatever you need. Good, it should go to glide slope star soon. That's almost like a perfect, like a spot on capture. Didn't get any. Okay, first we would say glide slope star, and we would put the go on altitude here. Here it doesn't change, but it would be 3,000 here, okay? Glide slope is there, and just to make you sure, as you see, it's climbing to 3,000. So that's what we should put. Good, we're at 2,400. I'm just gonna go with flaps 2. Speed check flaps 2, and it's there. And now I'll start to reduce to 160. So 160 until 4, that's gonna be it. Yeah, here is Mallorca, and here is the airport. So next thing, it's gonna be gear down. So at around 5 miles, 4.5, depending on the wind. Basically, now we have some tailwind, but it says 0. So no tailwind at all. Just the direction seems like it's tailwind, but there's no intensity on it. So it's fair enough. So at around 5 miles, I'm gonna go with gear down. Okay, 5 miles, gear down, and now I'll manage the speeds, and it should go. Yeah, that's not correct. This is another thing that it would be different, okay? It would go all the way to V approach, and that's it. So the gear is down, I'll select flap 3, and as I told you, it just called 1,000, but that's not correct. So the altitude of the airport here is 17 feet, so we should be fully stable at 1,017 feet, okay? And yeah, the V approach here, it depends on the point of flap, which it's fair for the first one, but I mean, you would always have the V approach at 145, which is what we need here. But the auto thrust wouldn't let you go below the flaps speed. So I don't know why they do it like this here, but it's okay. Okay, we're 1,000. We're fully stable, fully configured. Perfect. And we could do the landing checklist. So landing checklist would be cabin is secure for landing, auto thrust is on speed, current altitude is 3,000 feet set, and ECAM memo, landing no blue. So it's not there, but it should be there. Perfect. And there we are. So I'm gonna try to do an manual landing. Well, it's not clear enough today. Yeah, here we go. 500. Good, so autopilot disconnect. What I found is that it always leaves you a little bit high, so I'm gonna go a little bit down. 400. Already. And we cannot see the puppies, but the puppies should be there. You shouldn't be going faster than 1,000 feet per minute vertical speed, okay? So if you go above 1,000 feet per minute, the other guy would tell you sink rate.
100, 60, 50, 40.
Okay, at 20,
30,
at 20,
20.
we just reset the retard the flight, retard the thrust, and here we are. A little bit to the right, but that's fine. So we put idle reverse, the spoilers are there, we're decelerating, the auto brake is doing their job, and at around 70 knots we should just go with thrust idle. So reverse idle. The high speed exits like this one, we would be able to take them like around 50 knots, which we are there. But anyway, I'm just gonna go for the next one, and what we're gonna do meanwhile is the next thing is just before exiting the runway, I'll just disarm the reverse, and I will press the I will disarm the spoilers, and that's the trigger for the pilot monitoring to do their stuff. What I'm gonna do is just stop there to show it to you guys. Good, so these are the lines to vacate the runway, and what we're gonna do is stop here. And yeah, so what I was doing was reverse now on idle, okay, and I'll just do this, which is already done, I don't know why. And so what he would do is take off the lights that I didn't set them before, but anyway, and put the flaps up, the rudder off, brake the wind shear off, and this would be go to standby here, the tickets on standby, okay? What else? He would do landing systems off and start the APU. Good, I'm just gonna park somewhere over there. And to park, you would follow the yellow lines, but we have some docking systems, which basically they tell you how far you are and how much left or right you are. Okay. So I'm gonna follow this one, slowly turning in. Good. And here we are. It seems like it's fine. Go a little bit forward. Good, here seems fine. Parking brake is on. So yeah, parking brake is on, and what we're gonna do now is APU bleed on. Master switch off. Good. Seatbelt should go off, and when we are below 9,000% N1, we go beacon off. Good. That's when they would get the jet bridge in, and fair enough. They have the external power already, so I'll just disconnect the autopilot. Good. So we've done the landing, and now we would do the parking checklist. There's companies which have the after landing, but we don't. So APU bleed as required. It's off now. The electric pump off. The electric pump is over there. Sorry, over here. Engines are off, and off. Exterior lights are required, all off. Parking brake and chokes. Parking brake is set. Sorry, I missed the seatbelts which were off. Parking brake and chokes are required. Mobile phone on. Transponder standby and 2000. Now I would put this to standby. And radar protecting windshield off, which is off. Consider heavy rain. Parking checklist completed. That's it. Thanks. I hope you understand a little bit more the a320 and how it's flown, and hope to see you soon back. Bye bye.